Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. We're at 16696 Southwest Everton Street here in Sherwood. Located just to the right of the front doorway, dropping into a 4-inch, although it's a 4-inch cap, the line itself is actually 3-inch diameter. We're going to check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water's running. We're going to zero out here. Off we go. We're going to make a transition here over to 4-inch 3034 PVC. So far, a nice looking line. I'm going to do a toilet flusher in a second. I think you just have some little plastic burrs sitting on the sidewall. They're all in like identical locations spaced out the line. You do have a dimple there on the top of the line. Right now my camera's upside down. You've actually got two of them. We'll revisit those on the way out. Those right now, the pipe is intact. They're not affecting functionality. However, it's something that I would definitely take a second look at around 10 months. It's impossible to know what's causing them. If it's something that happened, I mean, before the pipe even went into the ground potentially, or if there's actually something resting on top of the line where you get some progressive scenario where that gets worse and worse. That's the hard part, is knowing what caused it. But from a flow standpoint, not affecting functionality, but I would definitely take another look at that around 9 to 10 months into the 1-year warranty to make sure that there's no progression or changes there. There's the main there at about 63 feet. We're going to go locate all the line drains. Alright, line terminates out on Southwest Everton. The line jaunts over under the driveway and it runs up the right side panel of the driveway, kind of down the middle of that right side panel. That's as you face the house from the street. And we do have what looks like a little bit of standing water out here right before the main connection. It's very, very minor. Yeah, another reason though to take a second look at this thing. What concerns me is what could have potentially caused that little bit of settling there. Due to the weight of something very heavy. The same thing that may have put the pressure down on top of the pipe, creating those dimples. You got a pretty consistent, I mean, anywhere from a 32nd to a 16th of an inch of standing water from about, let's see, let's get back up here. I mean, there's hardly anything there, but you can, right now it's kind of at the top of the screen. There is a little bit of water rippling there. It's from approximately 49, 50 feet. You know, the vast majority, it looks like, of the 3034, at least as it gets out near the roadway area. We're going to say from about 40 to 63 feet approximately is where I'm seeing that. So even for new construction, 16, 32nd of an inch of water is not enough, in my opinion, to warrant repairs. The dimples there, the plastic it's already turning white. I'm going to at least locate where this is at really quick. Yeah, that's the top of the sewer line there. My concern is that plastic going to split at some point. So at least locate and see where it's at here, just so we know where it is and how deep it is. But at this juncture, it's not something I'd recommend fixing. I've seen a 3034 deform to extents that is unreal. It just depends on how quickly or slowly it happens. The slower it happens, the more the plastic can stretch. When something shocks this stuff pretty hard and quick all at once, that's where it can stress it a little bit more. But I've seen deformations in 3034. It looks like you stuck your thumb through the pipe and it still hasn't broken. So anyway, two different reasons there to take a second look at this thing around 9-10 months. And the hard part with this kind of stuff is basically I'll try and do some kind of compare and contrast on it, see if we see any progression there at all. If it starts to look whiter or we start to get a split line that'll form, usually what happens is you'll get an extra white spot right at kind of the apex of those little deforms. If we start seeing a line forming there where it looks like the plastic may open up, that's where I'd be more concerned. And the same thing with the standing water. If there's any changes at all, even if it goes from, let's say, a 1/16 to a 1/4 inch, at that point I'd be asking for it to be corrected. These lines are so new, and it's hard to say exactly. Some of them went in. Sometimes these lines have been in the ground for a long time. And the reason I've just pushed back out here once more, you have a little bit there at the main, and I'm still seeing the water rippling coming back. It's a very minute amount. In fact, you're probably consistently across that area. I don't even know if it's a 1/16 of an inch. It's probably about a 32nd. So very minor. But if we see that change from even a 32nd to a 1/4 of an inch, the problem is you don't know at what point it's going to stop settling. If it's going to stop at that point or if it's going to turn into an inch of standing water. So anyway, we're going to go locate really quick here just to see where this stuff is at. These little things on the sidewall look like just debris from what I can tell. We do have someone running water down the line. I was hoping the toilet flush might get those things off of there. They're just the way that they've stuck to the pipe wall there is a little bit unusual, but most likely is just debris. If we still see things hanging out here at the time of a rescope at 10 months, it'd be a scenario I'd almost be tempted to clean the line to remove whatever debris is there and make sure that you don't have damage on the other side. Sometimes you can get small holes that happen for a myriad of different reasons, usually related to some other construction process happening over the top of the line or adjacent to it that damages the pipe, pushes the plastic inward a little bit, and then some bit of debris like toilet paper gets stuck to it and blocks your view of it. Most likely it's just debris, but hard to say. They were just consistently throughout the line. I don't know what else is stuck behind that stuff. You got some little white item there with something else sitting behind it, and that's what's hard to see. Yeah, you're about 7 feet deep here, and the line actually sits a lot closer to the right side edge of the driveway. That locate was able to line that up a little nicer. The line runs down just barely inside that right side edge. It may be just adjacent to it, but I'll show it running down just under the edge on my little diagram. And what those little things could be too, I mean, there's plenty of junk that goes down these lines. Unfortunately, it shouldn't a lot of the time. You know, caulk, things like that. You could get little chunks of that. I could totally imagine that. Shooting down the line and getting stuck to the sidewall of the pipe. You have a bunch of them throughout the line. These little random white spots. So, most likely it's just debris. But I have seen scenarios like I was talking about before where you get a unique scenario where concrete formed or something like that was getting hammered in around the sewer line, something of that nature, dings the pipe wall up and creates a little spot there for stuff to get hung up on. But 9 times out of 10 it's just debris stuck to the sidewall of the pipe. Anyway, as we sit here right now, we have great flow all the way to the main. The standing water there that's between 40 and 63 feet is so minor, it has almost, I mean, essentially no bearing on flow hardly at all, not unless the line is being very heavily abused. I mean, it would abuse hard enough that whatever's going down the line would be struggling to even get out to that point. So that's not the kind of stuff I'd recommend doing a fix on. It's not worth it. in my opinion. And then where the potential, where we have that deformation, that's in the driveway skirt, kind of the front right corner of the driveway. That's where the driveway flares out just before hitting the street. We were kind of right at that front right corner of in the tip of that flare area under the concrete there at about 6'9" to 7 feet deep is what I was getting there. So hopefully that doesn't need correction, but that's definitely one of those things to watch. I have seen plenty of those kinds of scenarios progress over the years. You know, sometimes it's an excavator bucket or the track of an excavator goes over the line, leaves a deformation in it, and then whatever caused the stress to begin with is no longer there, and that's just how the line will look for forever. In other scenarios, you have, you know, potentially a busted piece of concrete sitting on top of the line under 7 feet of earth and that kind of pressure, and you get a slow progressive scenario where it tries to drive its way through the pipe wall. So that's why I would at least take a look at that thing at that point in time and see if there's any signs of progression taking place. But line is functioning very nicely as it sits right now.